My name is Richard Hans. My company is FBN Passivhaus. We specialise in low energy buildings, both housing and non-domestic. And we are standing in one of the buildings we've worked on over the last couple of years, which is built to the Passivhaus standard. It's a new park pavilion in Helensburgh. We are also working on projects which will be working with existing buildings, which will be built to the Passivhaus Enefit standard. Sustainability in construction is extremely important in that it's a major contributor to CO2 emissions and other greenhouse gases. So whatever we can do both in terms of the construction process but also in the long-term running of buildings, if we can reduce the amount of CO2 emissions for both sections of that, it's extremely important. We would be looking to, over the period between now and 2050, reduce emissions from all buildings by at least 80%. This building is an example of sustainable construction in terms of both the materials it uses and also the amount of energy that it will consume. It's built to the Passivhaus standard. It will be consuming a lot less energy than both existing buildings and also new buildings being constructed to the existing building standards in Scotland. The basic principle of Passivhaus in terms of reducing energy usage is to have the fabric first approach, which is one where you are insulating the building to very high standards, so that currently the walls and floors and roof of this building far exceed even the Passivhaus standard, which Passivhaus standard minimums, so that, for instance, the roof, which could be a U value of 0.15, we've managed to reduce that to 0.09. The original design included a fair amount of steelwork, so we've managed to remove that from the design. This building is almost entirely constructed from timber, both in terms of the structure, but also the insulation. There is wood fibre insulation in the walls, which is the main insulant for this building. This particular building utilises a lot of timber and it also uses wood insulation, wood fibre insulation. Obviously we don't want to get this wet. So keeping the building dry, particularly in the Scottish environment, becomes more difficult. So using off-site construction techniques would be preferable. The Passivhaus standard is recognised as the most tested standard. It has the most evidence of being able to perform to the standard you're trying to design to. The existing standards that would be used in this country would be designed to comply with the building standards, to meet those as a minimum. And we are able, via the use of the Passivhaus standard, to actually far exceed that. Scotland is pressing ahead with very innovative projects, and there is currently funding available to enable us to do that. So that existing buildings such as council offices, parliamentary buildings, factories, offices, hospitals, all of those will be subject to some level of retrofitting over the next 30 years to achieve these very low standards. And Passivhaus provides a way to do that that's easily understood. There is still an issue in terms of education, in my view, so that educating clients, building users, becomes of extreme importance. You can have a very, very high-performing building, but if it's not used in the correct way, you will not achieve the optimum standard.